Hello, and welcome to Friendship, Wellness, and Wisdom with your hosts, Heather and Rachel.
Together, we're here to talk about all things self-care, from fitness to mindfulness and everything in between.
Whether it's yoga, Tai Chi, Pilates, or practices like tapping and meditation, we're here to help you discover new ways to care for yourself.
We'll also share tips on positive self-talk, finding time for self-care, and creating routines that stick.
We're here to provide you with plenty of tips, tricks, and unsolicited life advice.
Remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. Join our community, and together we can explore the path to wellness. Welcome to this episode of Friendship, Wellness, and Wisdom. Today, we're talking about a topic we can all relate to: how to stop taking things so personally. I know I have a little bit of an issue with this sometimes. Like, we've all had it, right? We have our moments. Someone looks at you a certain way or makes a comment, and all of a sudden you're just like, we're scrambling, like struggling with our self-worth all of a sudden. Like, someone just, a look passes by, a comment's made, and we're like, wait, what did I do? So, but what if we can change our response to that? So that's what we're going to talk about today. So in this episode, we're going to talk about how to build self-awareness practices, mindfulness, embrace self-compassion, and to break free from the habit. That's right, the habit of taking things too personally. So join us as we uncover practical ways to stop letting others' words and actions make us feel bad about ourselves. Because honestly, it's not about us, it's about them. Heather has a blog about this on her Bountiful Yogi site. So we're going to do our usual 10 questions and uncover some of the ways that we can learn to break the habit of taking things so personally. So the first thing we want to know are like, what are some of the first steps that we can take? Like, what are some of the ways we can start to notice, this habit and to change things a little bit?
So the first step, just with this and anything else, the self-awareness, right? Mm-hmm. Just to be super aware of yourself and become aware of your thoughts and your emotions, making sure that you're like processing things and not jumping to conclusions, mm-hmm. right? So with self-awareness, we kind of like monitor the situation. Mm-hmm. We monitor the other person. We monitor us as how, we're perceiving and viewing things. And so, yeah, the self-awareness is the first way to cultivate a response.
Okay. So, yeah, I guess, first line of defense, always be aware of what the situation is.
Right.
So, all right. So the next thing I want to know is like, how does like internalizing that criticism affect your sense of self-worth?
So when we start to internalize anything, as far as, when we get emotionally charged and we internalize, we've talked about this with self-talk, right? Your brain, you're going to create your own story to why something is not right. So your brain is going to create a story, right? Not necessarily a true story, but a story nonetheless. So your brain's going to tell you, oh, you bumped into that person the other day and they took it badly. Or they're being not so nice to you because you did A, B, and C, or whatever. And that's not really the case, right? We just kind of have to fill in blanks. The unknowing drives us crazy. And so we fill in these blanks to kind of like bridge that story. And so that's like really the thing that we have to like control. We don't tell ourselves stories. We have to run on facts. So asking yourself factual questions. We talk about fact finding all the time in the brain.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah. And so fact finding.
Right. But I think a lot of times too, when it comes down to that, we then do that fact finding through past experiences. So we're not always using the facts of the moment, right? We're using the facts of our past experiences of something that may have happened like in the past. And then we're just kind of projecting that into the moment where,
Right.
maybe
Which is
something.
still your story though.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm not. I'm agreeing with you completely. I'm just saying that's
Yeah.
what our brain's doing, right? It's like drawing from, like, you're creating the story because this happened,
Hmm.
10 years ago. So
Right.
but it's the closest thing your brain has. So it's latching onto that and filling the blanks in with an old, like something that happened a while ago. So,
Like an old tape.
yeah, basically.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So next, I want to know, as far as like social standards go, right? That's going to affect our perception, and how is that impacting us taking things personally?
Well, social standards offers us, to create like unrealistic expectations.
Of course, yeah.
So like honestly, like when we look at whatever the social standard is in the moment, because it changes all the time, right? Whatever it is in the moment, then you kind of draw a conclusion, create a story, create whatever's to comfort you, even though it's uncomfortable, right? You have to bridge the gap. And so when you look at things around you, you're looking at like something that makes it like super easy. It's super easy to jump to a conclusion. It's super easy to not really confront the situation or ask the person, hey, did I do something wrong or something like that. It's much easier to just go, okay, well, this is the expectations of society and this is what's going on.
Right. So
And
if you didn't behave in that manner, the perception by you then is, oh, I did something wrong, and I must have offended them.
yeah,
And clearly that's not always the case. Like
no,
most of the time other people don't even notice,
yeah.
you
And
know.
and honestly, and we'll get through this, but to this point, but the reality is even when you think about how you react to something or how
Mm-hmm.
you respond to something, the reason why you respond the way you do, the reason why you react the way you do is because it's personal to you.
Of
It's
course.
not personal to somebody else. So if I automatically think that you don't like something, or you say to me, um, oh, your hair looks good today, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I say, oh, well, does it not look good other days?
Yeah.
You know, like it's my own story. It would be my own personal thought process, my own personal energy that I'm bringing into this situation.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. So back to one of our favorites here. So how can practicing mindfulness help you to respond to criticism more effectively?
So, I mean, in all reality, staying mindful helps us to stay in the present. It helps us to be grounded. It allows us to respond to criticism without, a claim, or without drama, with a clear mind, with calm reaction, calm response, prevents us from reaching impulsive reactions, right? And so honestly, it goes back to the mindfulness. It just goes right back to that self-awareness, like being completely aware of yourself, being grounded in the moment, being in the here and now, not what happened in the past, not what you think is going to happen in the future, right? It's really what is going on in this moment. And
Okay.
and that helps you be mindful and stay present.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, a lot of times we'll jump to conclusions when we hear something that
Mm-hmm.
someone else says, and a lot of times that'll trigger us and we'll go right into like blaming ourselves for something, and because we're not being mindful and we're not being present of what is actually happening in the moment. Someone saying something that maybe has like a trigger
Mm-hmm.
for us, and
Right.
then we're automatically assuming that they're criticizing,
Right.
and that's how like we're taking that. It's almost like they're not even criticizing us, but we're deciding to take what they said personally,
Yes.
when
Absolutely.
it wasn't even, it could not have even been meant as a criticism at all.
Yeah. And even if it was, even
Right.
if somebody is being critical, it's still not about you.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. But
Like,
I know there are times where I have like taken things personally, and someone wasn't even trying. Just like you said, why doesn't my hair look good? Doesn't my hair look good like every day? It's like that. You're like, wait, I wasn't. I was trying to give you a compliment. Like I wasn't even trying to criticize you.
yes. And,
there's a lot of times where that happens, and we just perceive these things that aren't really
it's
happening.
only personal to you if you make it personal to you.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's a big part of all of that, is like really realizing that like the conversation is more than likely most times about a situation and how someone feels about that situation. So, well, let's move through, because I think we're going to answer some more of this question with some of the other questions. So again, so why is it important to recognize that taking things personally is a choice? And I want to just add this before you answer. I was thinking about this. I think a lot of us don't realize the choices that we make are not always conscious choices. Mm-hmm. They're repetitive. And again, we tell ourselves these stories, and we create these stories, and then we create these shortcuts. So our mind like automatically jumps to this quick reaction. So someone says something, and we respond immediately by taking it personally without even any thought. So we're like unconsciously or subconsciously reacting to what someone says. So with that in mind, again, I'll repeat the question. Why is it important to recognize that we're making a choice here when we take things personally?
Well, honestly, when you take it personally, you are giving another person, possibly that doesn't even realize it, all the power, right? You are empowering somebody else. You're releasing all the power that you have, because you have all the power of your emotions and how you think and things like that. But like you just said, things are unconscious, right? We do things unconsciously, and it's a practice, right? It's all a practice. So it's important for us to recognize that taking things personal is a choice, and it's a choice to continue to be in control of our own emotions, our own thoughts, what we're doing, our reaction, our response. It's a choice to be in control. As soon as you start allowing other people to be in control of how you feel, on how you digest things, then you're giving up free will, right? You're now saying, Rachel has all the control over me, and I have no control over myself. Number one, it's an excuse. It helps you not take accountability for the way you're digesting something. And then the other thing is, it's also putting blame possibly where blame doesn't need to be.
Right.
The other piece of it is, some people are just not nice, and some people mean it.
They do.
Mean, right?
Yeah.
But even in that situation, that is theirs, not yours, because it's personal to them. Whatever they're spewing out to you is still personal to them. It's not personal to you. Not saying it doesn't hurt your feelings. Not saying it's not something mean and you're like, wow, that person's really mean, they shouldn't have said that. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is, you have to realize it does not matter how you treat, react, or whatever. Some people are just mean.
Right. And they're going to be angry and say things no matter what.
And you have to know you can do everything in your power, and that person still be ugly. And if you're not there, they're going to be ugly to somebody else.
Right.
So.
Absolutely. There are some times where just no matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter how you deliver something, present something, that's the reaction you're going to get is going to be a negative one. And then at that point, yes, a lot of times we do tend to just react because we're emotional, especially if it's something like you poured work into, right? And then it kind of hurts your feelings. But what you can do is be conscious of it, stop, pause. And that's where you have that choice, is then after that pause, what you do next, what you say next, how you act next is then your choice.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay. So with that leads right into our next question. So now, how can you use self-compassion to combat the effects of negative comments, right? So clearly we want to feel good about ourselves, and that can be very difficult if someone is making negative comments about who we are, how we act, the work that we do, and things that mean a lot to us. So self-compassion as a way to overcome this.
Yeah. So this goes back to our forgiveness episode, right? So we have to have self-compassion, just blatantly, to forgive ourselves for anything that we've done that's wrong, to forgive others for possibly not meaning to hurt your feelings, have a bad day, whatever. And then, self-compassion also helps you counteract those negative thoughts, right? It helps you change the voice of the negative self-talk to positive self-talk. When you show yourself compassion and patience and kindness, when you show other people compassion, patience, and kindness, it changes the narrative of what's going on, right? And so it helps us strengthen our emotions. It helps us be more resilient. And so, self-compassion, empathy, all of that is very important to be able to understand a situation and to overcome a situation.
Okay. It's a lot of things to consider there. It's just like, it's so funny. Like, you hear a comment and you react. And sometimes it's just so quick. So when you talk about all these interventions and like stopping and noticing all of these things, it's kind of funny because all of this stuff really needs to happen almost instantaneously.
Yeah, totally.
And that's why too, like, we bring up all of this stuff. It's not like an instant fix. Like, you're going to like just remember to be compassionate and all that. You need to be aware of these things in every moment. And you may catch yourself like in the, like, getting ready to react, or even after the reaction that you've had.
Right.
And don't get upset with yourself. Like, these are all habits that have been built up over years. So when you're starting to do this, and if you really want to make a change, if you notice, pause and take, like a split second before that reaction comes out, like, that's where all the change starts to come in. Like, slowly with each encounter, it's not just going to be like, oh, well, I'm going to tell myself something nice, or, what, maybe so-and-so is having a bad day, and then boom, it's fine. And, now I'm no longer taking things personally. It's literally just a change in your overall perception that builds over time. So again, like, coming back to the being mindful, being aware, doing all of these things, it's something that you build and cultivate. It's not an instantaneous thing. So don't ever think like, oh, well, she said to do this and I tried it and it just didn't work.
I think the reality is, you took many, 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 many years to get here, right? You took your whole entire life. You've been programmed to be in the place that you're in right now, whatever mindset you're in. And the reality is, you are not going to wake up tomorrow a different person. Like, that just doesn't happen. Everything is work. It's work. It's a practice.
It is. And it's cumulative. So if you want to make a change, you're not going to see maybe some great big changes the day to day, but a year from now, it's pretty amazing when you look back. If you do implement these small changes each day, what a big effect it makes, like, over a span of time. So, your day to day, you might not see or feel it right away, but when you look back over the course of some time, like, some really big changes can happen when you just take tiny steps each day.
And not only that, you have to know that something can trigger you, and you can possibly revert back. I mean, if I would say I've never reverted back to who I used to be, because I am a completely different person than I used to be. If I would say I've never reverted back there. There are things that trigger me. And I always say to my husband, I have to really sit on this, because for this to bother me the way it is, it's something internal that I have to kind of sit with and digest and work through and process. And I do, that's where my journaling comes in. I have to journal. I have to write it out and really, and then I read it back to myself, and then I'm like, oh, okay, I can see where this connects to this, and this is why you know what I mean? This is the old Heather. This is my old habit. And so I can understand this. So now how do we move forward from here? You know?
Yeah. No, I do. Believe me, I fall back into some of those patterns sometimes, and I'm like, wait, why am I reacting like this? And I'll like, you'll journal, I'll stop and ask myself questions. And sometimes I will write things down. And sometimes I'll literally just like, why is this bothering me? And I'll kind of wait like for my own response, and I'll work through it that way. Just to be like, okay, something clearly set, something off. And
it's learning to respond instead of react.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is huge. I think that's a lifelong event, undertaking, and it will probably, go on indefinitely. Absolutely. For sure. All right. So I want to move to the next question, which is, what are some of the signs that you might be taking things too personally? Yeah. So here's our little light bulb moment.
Yes. So signs include feeling overwhelmed, defensive, seeking validation, obsessing over somebody else's opinion, frequent emotional outbursts, negative feedback, negative self-talk, trying to fix a situation that doesn't need to be fixed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and it's funny because all of these podcasts that we do, all of the blogs that we write, they kind of all intertwine, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Respond, react, forgiveness, being, accountable and responsible and things like that. Like they all intertwine to you being the best you can be, right?
Absolutely.
And so, so that's like, if that's not your norm, getting over defensive, getting overwhelmed, seeking validation, those are all things that you're like, oh, maybe I'm in that I'm taking it personal area.
I know for a while I was in a space like that, and I literally did all of those things, and you don't even notice it. And then you have to stop for a second and just, again, like, ask yourself, like, why am I doing this? Why do I need this validation? Why am I immediately thinking when someone else is upset that I have something to do with it? And then it's, again, I'm like, who am I to even do that? That's, that's their issue, and that's their thing. And you almost have to like remove yourself from it, because I'm lacking the right word. It's not even like it's selfish, but like, who am I like to make it that I am the cause of someone else's like distress or problem or whatever? I'm like, I'm important in their life, but I am not the cause of all of this. Like, that's their thing. And I can be here to support, but I don't have to fix it. I didn't cause it. Like, it's not, it's not all about me. And I think we forget that sometimes. Like, we get thrown into, I think too is very easy, especially like as a mom. You take on all of this, and then you start to kind of believe that everyone else's successes and failures and problems and all of these things like have something to do with like what you did or have done or are doing like currently, in the space of their life. And that can be a lot. It's that can sometimes be a tough place to remove yourself from.
I do this thing when somebody says something that I don't, really comprehend why they're saying it. I say to them, was that supposed to be endearing? was that comment supposed to be endearing? And they're like, well, I didn't mean it in a bad way. And I was like, so explain to me how it was supposed to be endearing. And it's like, I guess it's not endearing.
Yeah, no, it's like, just like, so should I take that as a compliment?
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. And it's like, how, yeah.
I didn't think so. Okay.
It's nice to put it back. It's nice to put the control back in your hand and literally ask the question. Not that you're taking offense to it, but you're like, I'm not really sure how to take that comment. So
yeah, and I've literally said that verbatim. I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to take that comment.
Yeah.
What did you mean?
Exactly.
Yeah. No, I've like just flat out like, yeah, I don't know about that. Please explain.
Right. And people that are being not so nice, people that are being ugly, they kind of like are like, oh
yeah, no, they'll get offended at that quick. And someone who didn't is usually like, oh no, I meant.
Yes, exactly. And then right? Oh, they're not being very nice. And so we're done. Okay.
All right. Next question. So we're doing the work here, right? So how are we going to develop a mindset that is less prone to taking things personally?
So we are not going to revert back to a fixed mindset. We are going to go into a growth mindset, where you view challenges and criticism as opportunities to learn, opportunities to improve. It can help you be less sensitive. It can help you understand the opinions of others. Sometimes people have like really good, constructive criticism.
Mm-hmm.
And if we just constantly take offense to things, we don't grow and learn. Right.
Absolutely.
And so my son says something great. He says, if I'm just yelling into the vacuum, I'm only hearing my own voice. Right. And he's like, so he likes when people give him feedback.
Yeah, I love that too. Like, I will literally ask questions. I'm like, I will ask someone, okay, so what is the point of this? And I know that some people at first will kind of be offended by that. Mm-hmm. They'll take it personally. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I'm literally like, I'm viewing this in a certain way and I'm seeing it negatively. I would actually like someone else's perception on what's happening here so that I can see things differently. And I actually had someone say, I said that a couple times to someone, and she was like, I'm so glad that you said that. She goes, because I'm not always sure.
Right.
It's like, sometimes it seems like, you're angry. I'm like, no, I actually am like, I can't seem to get past how I'm seeing this. So when I ask you for another viewpoint, I really want one. Like, I would like to see this differently. I'm sure that there's like a positive take on this that I'm missing. So please, like, if you have one, I would like to know what it is.
Yeah, totally. And I think it's important. I think it's important to be open to other people's thoughts and opinions. Not necessarily to stifle your own, just to understand other perspectives. With other perspectives, that's where we grow, right? The more we learn, the more we grow. Absolutely. So growth mindset, not fixed mindset.
All right. So, self-reflection. So what role is self-reflection going to play in overcoming the tendency to take things personally?
So self-reflection allows us to examine, right? It allows us to examine the circumstance, what triggered that emotion, that strong emotion in you, or why you took personally, it helps you to just be aware, and it changes. Like, once you're aware of things, it does change your perspective, right?
Absolutely.
And so once you're trying to figure stuff out and problem solve instead of sitting in like an emotional woe is me, or in like this, I'm the victim mentality, you really open up the door for so much growth.
Absolutely, too.
And even if somebody is being mean and nasty, if you can grow past that, it teaches you a lesson. It teaches you a lesson. Like we've said in one episode, People treat you how you allow them to treat you.
Yeah, absolutely.
People, you train people how to treat you.
Absolutely.
So these are great opportunities for you to hone in on that and really develop your skill for that kind of stuff.
Okay. No, I think that's great. All right. So next is, how can surrounding yourself with positive influence help reduce the habit of taking things personally?
So negative feeds negative, negativity feeds negativity, positivity feeds positivity. So when you are around supportive, positive people who uplift you and can reinforce your self-worth, it changes the way you look at things. So if you have a really high self-worth, then you don't take things automatically personally, right? It's interesting because for lack of a better example, but this is a good example. If you hear people whispering, right, you automatically think, a lot of people automatically think, oh, they're talking about me.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not that person. I'm not that person. If people are whispering, they're obviously talking about something that's personal. Right. Even if it is about me, it's none of my business.
Yeah, no, it's that's the thing is, that's the one line I love. It's none of your business what anyone else thinks about you.
Yeah.
Like it's not. It's their business. It's none of my business what anyone else thinks about me. So
it's really important that, like, if you have a really high self-worth, it changes the way you perceive things. It just automatically changes. You don't automatically think people are talking about you. You automatically think people are being earnest. You automatically think people are being kind and forthright and things like that. Now, are they always? No. But you automatically think that until you have fact that they're not.
It's different. And it's funny too, because if you treat people like they're acting in earnest and being a good person, I find a lot of times if you're treating someone like that, they will respond that way to you, even if they don't respond that way to other people.
Yes.
And then if someone is just like you said, just angry and ugly, there's not much you can do about that. And you can still turn around and treat them with kindness and respect because you're not ugly and angry.
Yes, absolutely. And honestly, what does it hurt?
No, it doesn't hurt anything.
Right. And you're showing them that, this is how I want to be treated. So this is how I'm treating you.
Of course. Yeah. It just makes sense. All right. So we're going to wrap up. So what I want you to remember is that most criticism reflects what the other person is experiencing, not your worth. So if they're angry about a situation or what's going on, it may come out as anger towards you, and they might actually, mean to say some hurtful things to you, but it's not about you. It's about them, what they're experiencing, what they're feeling, and you happen to be there to get the brunt of it. So we discuss how to stop taking things personally by building self-awareness, by practicing mindfulness, embracing self-compassion. We highlighted the impact of social standards and the value of positive influences. So by applying these insights, we can respond, not react, to criticism with confidence and maintain our inner peace. So thank you for listening. And I really hope that this kind of helped in some way or, touched on something that means something to you. So until next time, be well.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Friendship, Wellness, and Wisdom. Don't forget to subscribe or follow us wherever you get your podcasts. And follow us on social media for more updates. See you next time.